Welcome back to Red and Blue. How Trump's arraignment today affects his run to regain the presidency in 2024 will be a hotly debated topic in coming days and months. Here to discuss it all is Ashley Etienne and Justin Sayfie. They join us now. Ashley is a CBS News political contributor and the former communications director for both Vice President Kamala Harris and then Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. Justin has served in the administrations of 3 Republican presidents and is a Florida-based Republican consultant. And Justin, I want to start with you because we saw Trump fundraising off of this arraignment today. His campaign claiming about $7 million so far has been raised. That's according to the campaign. Is this really a boon to his campaign the way that he thinks it could be?
In the short term, absolutely. I'm sure they're raising a lot of money. We have to take the campaign at its word for now that that's the amount that they're raising. But there are a lot of Republicans around the country that view this as a purely political prosecution. You even had former Governor Jeb Bush, an opponent of Donald Trump's in 2016, certainly no Trump fan, calling it a political prosecution. So there are a lot of Republicans around the country that see it that way. Short term, definitely a boost for him.
Ashley, I want to pick up on that point because I'm curious how Democrats are looking at this today. I mean, is there any concern among Democrats that this could, in fact, help him in terms of rallying around his base and getting Republicans, to Justin's point, even Jeb Bush, coming to his defense, at least in this instance?
Well, I'll just say this. There's not many Republicans in elected office and not in elected office that have credibility on this particular issue. I mean, too many of them have really abandoned our American principles in support of blind support of Donald Trump. Here's the thing is, this is a moment in time, but I think what really should give the Republicans heartburn, especially as they look to 2024, is the poll that came out of CNN that found that 62% of independents support the indictment. As you know, that's the difference in any election that can swing an election, independent voters. That is the sweet spot for both Democrats and Republicans. So as we look at this, Democrats and Republicans have hardened, but it's that independent bloc that actually supports the indictment of Donald Trump. And I think that should be giving Republicans heartburn as they look to the next election.
Well, that bloc, of course, so critical in a general election. Right now, Republicans are trying to figure out the primary election, but certainly wanting to win a general election has to be at the top of their minds. I mean, Justin, what's been the reaction from other Republican rivals? They also seem to be coming to Trump's defense here, but is there any way that they could distance themselves from some of this today?
Again, I think in the short term, you're going to see a very different response than what you might see in the long term. Short term, they're all going to say this is political. They're going to criticize the prosecutor for bringing these charges against the former president. Long term, different story. We're in early April of 2023. Voters won't start going to the polls to select the nominee of the party until early next year. So we're a long way away from people actually casting ballots. Let's wait until we have a full field, and then you'll see what truly this impact will have in the course of the presidential campaign.
And what about the uncertainty of some of these other investigations going on here? I mean, in this instance, Republicans are rallying around him, but there are other investigations to go. To your point, the field is still shaking itself out. But, the gloves haven't really come off. We haven't really seen Republicans take aim at Donald Trump.
Well, I think that that's a great point. This case, I think most legal experts would say this was the weakest of the 4 ongoing investigations into former President Trump. So, no one really knows what's going to happen with those other investigations. But there could be a scenario if these other investigations turn into prosecutions. Former President Trump is a master at turning adversity into an advantage. So anyone who thinks that, as hard as it is to believe, that these other prosecutions, especially if they come from the Biden Justice Department, will be a net negative for him, I think it's a huge X factor. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that even more indictments will necessarily be damaging to President Trump, especially if they come from the Biden Justice Department.
It's very interesting. I mean, we have so much longer to go. Ashley, I mean, to that point about Biden, he's just been letting this play out. He's not getting engaged, as Nancy pointed out earlier. They're just waiting to see how this plays out and letting this play out. What does that tell you about kind of how Democrats are playing this? Is that the strategy, or do you expect them to start to weigh in a bit more?
Well, I mean, I think, Trump does his own damage. So, I think the president's smart to just stay out of the way of Trump and let this story run its actual course. But, you know, here's the thing I think where Democrats are feeling sort of encouraged is that this moment just reminds the American public of what they get with Donald Trump. Let's not forget that this was the president who tried to shake down Ukrainian President Zelensky to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. He actually misled the public on the threats of COVID. He also shook down the Georgia Secretary of State for 11,000 votes, tried to cheat the last election in 2020. So from our perspective, from the perspective of Democrats, you know, our best fundraiser and our best organizer is Donald Trump. So this is really just another moment for us to remind the public of what they would be getting with Donald Trump. If there's one thing he is, it's always consistent. He's always scheming and actually trying to launch pressure campaigns and putting his own interests above the interests of the country. So this creates us an opportunity for the party to remind the American public of that.
And still a lot more to play out this year and into the next year as after this arraignment and the political ramifications. We'll be talking to you about all of it over the coming months, I'm sure. Ashley Etienne and Justin Sayfie, thank you so much.